Welcome to the Gita in Action podcast. My name's Radha, and I'm here with our family of seekers. We're reading through the Gita verse by verse. We meet every Monday and Thursday, and we do this together. And we were just talking before we came on live here of just how grounding it is. I think Stella said that, right? It's so grounding. We feel when we're not here together, we feel it. So we're grateful to be here together and with you all, everybody who's listening. So thanks for coming and making this a part of your weekly sadhana, your daily sadhana. So today we are in chapter 8. We're in chapter 8 and we're going to start with text 18. We're making our way through this chapter. This chapter again is about remembrance of Krishna, especially at that time of death. And today we're in this section where Krishna's talking about the material world, and hopefully we'll get into the spiritual world a little bit today too. He's basically just talking about both the material world and the spiritual world, kind of comparing them as a way to help remember him. So that's where what we'll be diving into today. But before we do that, Shakti, are you able to say our prayers for us today?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Om Agyana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kara Mayam Tandatasva Pandatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhitam Harijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saha Gana Lalita Shri Visakan Vitams Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancha Garungi Radhe Vrindavanishvari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Prananami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavembhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Guru Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shakti. So let's start with text 18 today. We'll start with chapter 8, text 18. And Stella, when you're ready, can you read it for us?
Sure. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state. And thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again.
Thank you. So here, Krishna's describing the cosmic rhythm of creation. So the endless cycle of manifestation and unmanifestation. At the start of Brahma's day, all living beings, planets, universes, they come into being. They manifest. And then when Brahma's night begins, everything returns into an unmanifest state. So it's just waiting quietly for the next cycle of creation to begin again. And if we remember Brahma's day and night, it's like billions of our years. His consciousness is very high. He has a very long lifespan we talked about in the last class. So this is like so long of a cycle that we can't even really conceive of it. But yet it's a cycle. And it's fascinating because this pattern, these cycles appearing and disappearing, expansion and contraction, it's actually something we see everywhere in nature. Seasons come, seasons, like we have The seasons are in cycles. The tides, they rise and they fall. The sun, it rises and it sets. Even our breath, it's a constant rhythm of inhaling and exhaling. So the entire universe moves with that same divine pulse. Again, this is just the ultimate zoom out. Existence itself is eternal, but it doesn't always appear in the same visible form. So the substance is eternal. Like life never truly ends, but sometimes it's visible and active, manifest, and other times it's dormant and unseen. So at the beginning of Brahma's day, all living beings wake up. They wake up into activity. They take on bodies. When we say living beings, again, remember we're talking about the soul. So they wake up, the souls take on bodies, planets appear, and the universe hums with life. And then when Brahma's night falls, everything withdraws back into the unmanifested state, like going deep into cosmic sleep. So this is just like a mega cycle. So even when that happens, though, the souls, they don't cease to exist, like they still exist. The souls exist, but they rest within the body of Mahavishnu. So they're sheltered and they're awaiting the next cycle of creation to continue their journey. So this is the cycle, and it's been going on forever. But just like again in the theme of kind of this section, it's a reminder that nothing material is truly stable or permanent. Everything in this world, in this universe, moves in cycles. So what's born must dissolve, and what dissolves will be reborn again. This is the cycle. But this is material energy. We should remember the soul, the eternal spark of consciousness within us, it doesn't disappear. It's just simply transitioning through these different rhythms of existence. So this is again important to note the difference between what is material and what is spiritual. The soul spiritual, it's enduring. It's just going through all these cycles. But the material is the one it's dissolving and then it's manifesting again. This is the cycle of material energy. So the universe is busy manifesting and unmanifesting. But in this verse, Krishna's inviting us to anchor ourselves in something beyond the cycle. And that's the one reality that never disappears, and that's Krishna. So again, we look around, we see cycles everywhere. This is just, I mean, we say this even in life, this is the season of life. This is the season. This is just, we know this is how life goes, constant cycles. But again, we should notice the difference between this material energy and this spiritual energy. And inside us, we have this yearning for something eternal. We already know that we seek something eternal. And because that's the soul, right? That's the soul. And the soul by nature is eternal. So Krishna's inviting us in this to come back home to what is eternal. And know that everything material is going to be operating on these kind of cycles, even out to the cosmic level. And for us, we can think of the cycles in our own lives that keep repeating. We see these growth cycles. Maybe it's very easy to see different seasons that we're in, different literal seasons around us, the weather, or what to speak of like behavioral patterns, right? These cycles, these things that you just keep bringing up, and then they unmanifest a little bit, and then they manifest again, and right? So again, for us, we notice all these cycles. What would it mean for us to anchor ourselves in something beyond them? And that's what spiritual life is. That's what we're here trying to do. Get out of this ultimate cycle of birth and death. That's the ultimate cycle we're trying to escape from. But again, just good to know, material energy operates on cycles. Okay, let's move on to text 19. Whenever you're ready, Stella.
Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being. And with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated.
Thank you. So verse is driving home a really humbling point, and you ready? This is a mic drop point here. This point that we are not in control. I'll say that again. We are not in control. No matter how advanced we like to think that we are, or how powerful our technology is, or how carefully we plan, the reality is that the universe operates by God's will, not ours. Even if we look at history through a scientific lens, we can see this truth. Yeah, over just the past few thousand years, entire civilizations have vanished. And not because of war or politics, but because nature simply shifted. Like the Saraswati River is a good example of this. And this river gave life to millions, right? And then it's gone. It's like everything that depended on it collapsed. Fertile lands become deserts, great cities disappear. So the same natural force that once sustained them, it becomes the reason for their end. And that's just one example. Like an earthquake, a flood, a volcanic eruption, entire populations, they just wiped out in moments. So we often live with this illusion of control, feeling like we've mastered the world through science, through wealth, through technology. But compared to this immense power of material nature, we're actually incredibly fragile. Srila Prabhupada used to say, material nature can slap us at any moment. And if this is just what we observe within our short human lifetime, imagine what Krishna is describing here, like cosmic time scales. He's saying that when Brahma's day begins, the entire material creation comes into being. And then when night falls, everything dissolves back into the unmanifest state. Not just a city or a country, but the entire universe. Again, the ultimate zoom out. So when he says that living entities are annihilated, again, he's not talking about the souls being destroyed. This is such an important point and such an important point of this section where Krishna is comparing the material with the spiritual, because living entities is soul. Right? The soul doesn't get destroyed. The soul's eternal, but the bodies, like the bodies that the souls are in, right? The planets, the arenas for action, they're all withdrawn. And then the living entities, the soul, remains in a dormant state, just waiting for the next creation cycle. It's just completely helpless, just carried along by time and karma. That's the journey of our soul until we can get out of that. But we're just carried along by time and karma. So when we realize how helpless we are in the face of time, that's when something starts to shift inside us. We start looking for something solid, something eternal, something unshakable, something that's similar in quality to our soul, because our soul knows its home. And so why we feel so uncomfortable here in this material existence. This is why we feel so uncomfortable even thinking about the end, thinking about death, because the soul's journey is eternal. And we know that. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for something that won't vanish when the cycle ends. Because there's no other way, there's no material way to escape these cycles, as much as we like to pretend like there is. Right? If I just keep myself really healthy, if I exercise, if I eat healthy, if I have good health care, we somehow like take some security in that, thinking that that will help us escape, help us avoid death. But the reality is it just won't. The only thing that will help us avoid death is spiritual. It's the realization that we're not actually this body. We're a spirit soul, and our journey is eternal. And in that, when our body decays, when our body dies, because it will, everybody here today, everybody's body will slowly, demise. And in that, our soul's journey will continue. And depending on how we spend our time here in this material existence, how we spend our time will depend our soul's destination. Right? Do we spend our time attached to material energy, just infatuated with material energy, such that our next body is suited to whatever desires we had in our last body? Or do we spend our time connecting with source, connecting with what is spiritual, lifting our consciousness out of this cycle of birth and death, out of this material energy, right? And connecting it with what is enduring, what is eternal, right? So that our soul can actually arrive back home, arrive back home. So this is Krishna. Right? He's eternal. Everything else, even Brahma's lifespan, the highest planets, the most exalted positions, they'll end. And even within our own lifetimes, we see the differences between people may seem huge. Right? Somebody lives in a huge house. Somebody lives on the street. Somebody travels by plane. Somebody travels by train. Right? But when we understand that all of it's temporary, these differences don't even feel so important. Because what truly matters is our eternal destination. So that's what's happening here in this section. He's gently redirecting Arjuna and us from the temporary to the eternal. That's how we're being redirected here. And after describing this fragile, cyclical nature of this material world, Krishna is going to start talking about the spiritual world, the place beyond time and destruction, the home where the soul finally finds rest. Yeah. So that's where we're going. We just really had to kind of highlight again, just reminding us the nature of this material energy and this material world, what we're dealing with here. Because it's so much easier to try to deny it. It's so much easier to try to fight against it. Well, it's not so much easier, but that's what we end up doing. Right? We inject ourselves with Botox, all these things so that we can avoid, reminding ourselves that we're getting old or others seeing that happening. We try to preserve it, try to hold on to it. Yeah, but this isn't a viable solution. This isn't sustainable. No. Does anybody want to share anything before we move on? Are you guys feeling depressed about the material world? How are you guys feeling? Yeah,
I
let's
have
hear.
I have to say that a lot of you are young, and it totally is really tough seeing your body age.
Hmm.
Because I'm always shocked when I look in the mirror. It just doesn't seem to ever lose its shock value. Because I
Hmm.
think of myself as young. I feel, I it's just the body just keeps changing, and not for the better. It's like it's intense. It is aging is not for sissies.
Hmm. Yeah. My mother-in-law is here and she's 83. And I was talking to her and she was saying kind of that same thing. Like you just never think that you're going to get old. And then here you are and you have pains everywhere and it hurts to move and you can't do what you used to be doing. And all of a sudden you're worried about being able to take care of yourself. And it's like, I think in the past when I've heard people say that, I thought, oh yeah, that's not me. But now I feel like when I hear people say that, I'm like, yeah, that's coming. That is coming. That is going to be me before you know it. Yeah.
I like I
I
like
like.
the state.
Sorry, I was raising my hand. I don't know how to do it here. Go ahead, Kay. I'll go after you.
Oh, okay. I like the thing that the only thing that will avoid death is being spiritual. So
Mm.
I like that statement so much.
Yeah. Yeah. If we're attached to the body and it starts to go, I mean, that is going to be a hard downfall for us. It's going to be hard and inevitable.
How do I get to
So,
the messages?
yeah, we have to attach to something higher or we're going to fall down with it. Shakti, where are you, Shakti?
Yeah, yeah, I know I'm probably in a weird spot because I'm on a phone. Um, I will say I agree. Like I'm Stella, I'm kind of with you. Like I'm probably I don't know how old you are, but I'm older, and and a lot of these young people, it is like I think Radha, you experienced me this past. We did a workshop together, And my mind, I was saying it's like having like dementia in a way, like, God forbid, but like Krishna forbid, but I couldn't remember things. Like things were not sticking in my brain, and it just, I think they will, but it's not like it used to be. Like it takes longer. The physical aches, the physical pains, like it's harder. But I wanted to. It's definitely harder. Can you read the? I can't find where it is, but if you go into the comments, Narayani made a comment, which I think is very apropos. So I wanted to read it, but of course I already forgot what she said. But I will say this: I feel grateful to know what we know, what you're saying. Like I would rather live in this reality, which is I am not my body, than live in the material world.
Mm.
And so that, I mean, I know there's only one choice, but finally I'm at a point where I'm like, yeah, that is the choice that I want.
Mm.
That's wonderful, Shakti. I mean,
Mm,
we would all want to say that, but you put it in right words.
mm,
Yeah, we would rather know this knowledge than be in the material world doing something really sinful.
yeah.
Mm.
And then Narayani wrote something, so I can't, if you
Yeah,
can.
she said spiritual life is difficult, material life is impossible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. It's nice. In spiritual life, we don't have to, we're not so obsessed with the body. Well, we try not to be so obsessed with the body that we cling on to our youth. Right? It's like, I mean, there's still that to some degree. It's like, our conditioning is still there. But at the same time, at our core, we know that as our body ages, our soul is eternal. Our soul is eternal. Imagine it if we didn't, yeah, if we don't have that realization on any level, and the body is getting older and we're getting depressed and scared or in denial until all of a sudden we're faced with, the reality. So,
Oh,
yes, this is
I want to
important, this
say something.
knowledge. Yeah, Maria.
Yeah. Um, I don't mind aging. I love getting old and looking at
Aw.
myself and saying, "Oh, good. I look really old. That's great." But I had this thought a couple weeks ago. What if I had to travel in my car and I couldn't listen to Sirius XM and the bridge? And I realized that was my attachment, be
Mm.
able to listen to this music. It was so silly.
Aw. That's great. That's great though that you don't mind getting old. That's wonderful. You're such a spiritual person, Maria, just naturally, I feel.
Aw.
Stella,
Two quick things about aging. Just
please.
how it's a schizophrenic experience, because at least for me, I'd say, because I have no idea, like, who is that guy in the mirror? I don't recognize him. But at the same time, we've been in our bodies for longer and longer and longer. So, like, we know that, we're not our bodies, but we've been in these bodies like so long. It's really, not being in some way connected to it would be also odd. Um, so just a thought on that. But also one of the great things about getting older, I think, is how we have, as our everything about our lives and our knowledge and our emotions, everything, our experiences gets longer, we have this huge context. So everything we're experiencing in like a broader and I like to think deeper context. So like my actual experience of the world, I think is richer and deeper. And then having this philosophy and this lifestyle, I mean, that's just like doing it in Kartik. So yeah, just some thoughts. Thanks.
Yeah. No, that's a nice thought too, that like that for spiritualists, it kind of like turns it on its head, or turns it upside down. And in material life, it's like people don't want to get older. They're very scared. They're trying to, slow it down. But when you're a spiritualist, it's actually like, I mean, when you value, when you value the expansion of consciousness, when you value deeper realizations, when you value, going home to God, getting older is really just getting closer to that. As we get older, we're shedding more of this conception of who we think we are. Our grip of our ego is hopefully loosening if we're really sincerely practicing this, right? We're getting wiser and we're getting closer to that final destination. So in that way, it's kind of sweet, the aging process. Yeah. That's good because it's inevitable. It's going to happen to us all. So, yeah, thank you all. Such beautiful realizations. Okay, should we move on to 20? Now we're going to switch over to the spiritual world. So we talked about the material world. Now we're going to switch over to the spiritual world. Whenever you're ready, Stella, could you read 20 for us?
Sure. Yet, excuse me, yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is.
Thank you. So now we're talking about the spiritual world. So after describing the material world, both parts, the parts we see, the parts we don't, Krishna is now shifting our attention to something beyond it all, and this is the spiritual world. So he's saying there's another nature that's unmanifest, that's eternal, that's completely transcendental. And so again, we talked about material energy, whether visible or invisible. Eventually, it all comes to an end. It's cyclical, it's temporary. Planets dissolves, universes collapse. Even Brahma's long lifetime, that's like billions of years, finishes. But the spiritual reality, this remains untouched. This is permanent. So Krishna is reassuring us that even though the material creation has a beginning and an end, there's another reality that never ends. So that longing of our soul, that longing of our soul for something that's enduring, something that's lasting, something that's eternal, there is a home for it. There's a reason we feel that way. There's a reason that we feel uncomfortable in this temporary existence, because our soul by nature is eternal. And there's a home for us in that. So when everything else is destroyed, this divine realm, the spiritual realm, remains exactly as it is. So we can think in our own lives, we know everything's temporary, but there's things that give us a sense of stability or permanence. Like maybe a marriage. I know that gives me a sense of stability and permanence, or a home. But Krishna's inviting us to look even beyond this. Something even beyond this that exists for us. And this is what I kind of want to challenge you to think about today. Something exists even beyond the things that we get some level of stability out of in our lives today. And this is back to this idea of dying. It's inevitable. The body's going to die. We're going to look for ways to outrun it. Maybe we achieve something great. We leave a great legacy. We make sure our names, our lives are in history, right? Our family remembers us. Somebody remembers us. But we should know that even those things are going to fade. Memories are going to fade. People are going to pass away. Even the history books we hope to be remembered in will be dust. So again, the Gita is giving us a much more hopeful and realistic way to face this death. And again, it's not by denying it, but by revealing an existence beyond it. And in that, Krishna is directing our attention to this other realm of life, one that isn't touched by destruction or decay. Because just like we said, if in materialistic mindset, death is a nightmare. It's a nightmare. But for the spiritualist who's woke up, right, who's realized who they are, eternal souls who can never be destroyed, not even by death, right? For the spiritualist who's awakened to this truth, that death is just another change of clothes, right? Just another cycle, just another transition. And the key to waking up from this nightmare, right, is this divine sound, especially the chanting of God's names, right? This sound vibration reconnects us to our eternal self and to Krishna's eternal reality. So this is how the Gita, it rescues us from the fear of death, right, by awakening us up to our eternal reality. And Krishna takes this teaching even deeper. You know, we often think when we talk about what's material versus what's spiritual, we often sometimes identify our thoughts, our emotions as spiritual, like our inner subtle makeup. You know, we identify that as spiritual. But Krishna here he's saying, no, the mental is still material. Our mind belongs to the subtle material energy, not the spiritual one. So don't get confused. Don't start thinking that that's spiritual. What is spiritual? What's spiritual is eternal. It is conscious. It's full of bliss. This is spiritual. Material, right? Matter is temporary. It's unconscious. Spirit is eternal and alive. So matter pulls us down into forgetfulness, and spiritual lifts us up into remembrance of who we actually are. And sometimes people will imagine the spiritual world as it's located somewhere out there, just like beyond the edge of the universe, like another country above the clouds. Almost like if we just keep traveling upwards, we'll eventually reach it, like going north until you hit Canada or something. But Krishna and the Acharyas, they remind us that the spiritual world, it doesn't even fit into that kind of map. Any attempt to picture something spiritual with our material imagination, it will always feel short, right? Because the spiritual world, it's not just a different place, it's a completely different dimension of reality. And this is what we should understand. It's a completely different dimension of reality. It exists beyond the manifest and the unmanifested worlds, and it continues to exist even when everything in the universe is destroyed. So it's like if we compare the material world to an apple, the spiritual world is not like a mango. It's not even like any kind of fruit. It's more like a diamond, right? Like something that can't be measured or appreciated by the same standards. Like you need an entirely different way of perceiving it. So we just really want to get clear here on what is material and what is spiritual. Because spiritual, again, it's a totally different dimension that we can't even really relate to with material eyes. Then this is why we can't reach the spiritual world by physical travel or technology. It's not just like another destination in place. We can only reach it by transforming our consciousness. So by raising our awareness from material to spiritual, that's how we start to penetrate the spiritual world, by transforming our consciousness. And this transformation happens through steady practice of yoga, the yoga of devotion. This is how our consciousness becomes spiritualized. We start to live in that higher reality. Even if we're still in this body, we're living in a higher reality. Our consciousness is becoming spiritualized. And the scriptures call this kind of person a jivan mukta, right? They're liberated while still alive. So Krishna's superior energy, the spiritual nature, is that realm beyond both the manifest and the unmanifest material world. It's our real home. It's our soul's home. And in the next verse, Krishna is going to describe exactly what that eternal abode is like. So that's where we're going. Does anybody want to share anything before we move on? How are you guys feeling about the spiritual world? Do you guys ever confuse your mental activity or your emotional intensity with a spiritual experience? Does this happen to you guys? Or sometimes people, I see this too, and I've guilty of it as well. Like sometimes your conditioning is so strong that it's like it's something that you really want, and you feel it so strongly that it's like, oh, this is what God wants from me because you feel it so strongly. This kind of confusion. Yeah. That's just kind of like a subtle point to bring up to be aware of that sometimes we mistake subtle material energy for spiritual energy. And it's not the same thing. This actually just happened to me. I'm kind of making a decision in life, and I wanted one way, and I talked to my spiritual master and asked him for his advice. And he told me to go another way. And it was kind of like disappointing, but at the same time, it was like, just because I felt like I wanted to go one way, we don't necessarily know what that's from. So again, we like to sometimes attribute that to, oh, God's telling me to do this. But until we really take shelter of advanced souls that are, much, much more realized than we are, we take shelter of books like the Gita, take shelter of sadhus until we actually take shelter of of what is really spiritual. It's hard to tell the difference, right? And that's why we need teachers. That's why we need guides. That's why we need gurus in our lives to help us kind of discern between what is subtle material energy and what is actual spiritual. Because it's not always what we feel in our hearts. Right? People like to say that too. I really feel it in my heart. I think that's God. It's not necessarily. We have so much conditioning covering our soul that it's like just going through layers and layers of gunk. Sometimes we don't even know what is what. Right? Are you guys relating to this? You guys relate? Does this make sense? Yeah. Okay, let's move on to 21 then, where Krishna is going to describe what the eternal abode is like.
Can I
Yeah,
just make a comment before we say the verse?
please.
We had an example a long time ago when we had our young, when like we were young parents and we were young and our kids were young um, and we wanted to move into a devotee community. And our head of household, our Tamal Krishna Goswami said, no, stay in Iowa. And we're like, no, we're so alone, all but you don't like, and, but now that we've been here 35 years, so much has happened that is amazingly beautiful and amazingly Krishna conscious in a place. And we have so much devotional service, and we impacted a place that didn't have Krishna consciousness. And, it's like you don't know when your guru says something, it's like he or she can really see into the future for that, or
Mm,
Krishna's. I mean, yeah, when you trust and let it bloom. We think about that. Like we wanted to. Where was that coming from? Like, was it
yes.
just because we just thought it was cool, like material? you know?
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
had to be more Christian conscious here because we were the only people here.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
No, that's exactly it. And then it's like once you have the idea in your mind of what you want, then everything that you see around you starts to become a sign endorsing that idea of what you want, right?
yeah, yeah,
And it's like it's not spiritual if you're doing it on your own. If you're
right,
just like creating your own path and you're just driving it. There's nothing spiritual about that.
right. Even though it seemed like it would be more spiritual at the
Even
moment.
yeah, I mean, unless you're a liberated soul, and most of us aren't,
No.
yeah, that's just you following your own conditioning.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Anyway, so here's the verse. Do you want to
Oh
put
yeah,
it up?
Shakti. I think Shakti has her hand up.
Oh,
Shakti, you want to
Shakti
share
does.
something before? Shakti, is your hand up purposely?
Yes.
Are you muted?
Oh, there you go. You're
Are you
unmuted.
muted?
Yes.
The yeah, so I did want to share. It's literally what you just said, Stella. Like I'm like I want to move into a community that is already has all of the things, and stay in the temple and be there for its, And my Gurudev said, I need you center. And I'm like,
You just went out a little bit. What did your guru
okay,
say? You just went out a little bit.
We're in
can you hear me now?
We're in signal
Yes,
area.
Yeah, yeah.
It's my
Signature.
signal. Sorry.
Okay.
He said, I want you to open this bhakti circle in Hamilton, this area where I live, and I want you to bring people in and start. I mean, this is a huge service. And then going to this ISKCON thing, which was like also huge. I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to go stay in a temple. I want to do this because that's where I'm going to get really spiritual. And he said, no, I need you to do this. I know you can do this. This is where I need you to serve. And it was like, okay. Oh, my Maharaj is telling me that's what he wants me. That's how he wants me to serve. And similar, Stella, like bhakti is not very. So I'm going to stop talking.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for me to really bring the bhakti, but Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So much of it is, that's the process too. It challenges us in that way, right? And it's so, it's purifying. It's purifying and it's confronting. But that's spirituality. Right? That's spirituality. Thank you. Thanks, Shakti. Okay, let's move on to 21 now, right? Yes, we're 21.
That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode.
Thank you. Okay, so Krishna's starting to reveal a little bit more about this eternal realm. So he mentioned in the last verse, he said, that unmanifest eternal reality the sages talk about, that's actually my supreme abode. And this is such a beautiful moment in the Gita. Krishna's connecting the dots for us. So earlier in 8:15, he said, those who worship me with devotion attain the supreme devotion or just supreme destination. And so now he's making it clear what this destination actually is, his own abode. And this isn't just any place, it's the highest destination. Remember, not a destination that's like you look up and it's on top. It's like, again, a different dimension, a different realm, a realm that's beyond cycle of creation and destruction. So Krishna is saying that once a soul reaches this place, they never come back to the material world. There's no higher destination, no greater achievement. So if we think about the things that we strive for, success, comfort, even spiritual advancement, Krishna gently reminds us that all of it ultimately leads to one goal, and that is returning home to him. That's really what we're striving for here. And this is why we have guides, teachers, gurus to help us on this journey, right? To teach us what can we actually do here that will help us return home to him. Because it's not even about so much what we're actually doing, but is it in the direction? Is it bringing us closer to God? Is it bringing, and that's what our gurus and our teachers can advise us because they're further along the journey than we are. They've already gone through, right? They're halfway there, right? Or more. And we're maybe just kind of starting. Or maybe we're a little bit further along, but regardless, they've seen and they can help us to kind of navigate that so that the choices that we're making are bringing us closer. The services that we have, the places that we're living, whatever it be, are in line with that destination home to God, because that's the journey that we're taking here. So in the upcoming verses, he's going to explain how one can reach that abode, what kind of consciousness and practices lead us there. And we'll do this last verse, and this will be our last verse for the day. Stella, when you're ready.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading, and everything is situated within him.
Thank you. So he's making it unmistakably clear here. He is the supreme person. All the other manifestations of spiritual energy ultimately rest in him. And how can we attain him? Again, this is very clear, only by unalloyed devotion, so by pure bhakti. And this is Krishna's revealing something truly astonishing about his nature. He's saying that everything exists within him, and yet he is within everything. And this is like kind of one of those confusing things that you hear and you don't really quite understand what that means. Like everything exists within him and he's within everything. Like, is that a paradox? How can both be true? And this is the beauty of Krishna's Achinta Shakti, his inconceivable power. He can be everywhere and at the same time personally present in his eternal abode. So Prabhupada often explained this by saying that Krishna remains in one place, yet pervades everything through his energies. Just like the sun stays in the sky, but its heat and its light spread everywhere. So when Krishna says everything is within him, it means all of creation exists by his energy and his consciousness. And then when he says he's within everything, it means he personally accompanies each soul residing as the Paramatma, the super soul in their heart, God in the heart. So this verse, it's specifically referring to the supreme person, not just the impersonal Brahman, right? The all-pervading energy, but the source behind it all, the supreme Lord himself. And let's not forget, how do we reach him? So remember this point, through devotion alone. When love for Krishna awakens our hearts, right, returning to his spiritual abode, it becomes natural. Because attaining Krishna and attaining his abode is the same thing. So this whole section of the Gita is just connecting these dots. First, Krishna describes the temporary nature of the material world. Then he reveals the eternal spiritual world, his supreme abode. And now he's showing us the way to reach it. So by fixing our mind and our heart on him through loving devotion. So that's the trajectory of this section. We started talking about material energy. It's so temporary. We talk about, then we juxtapose it to the spiritual world. It's a whole different dimension. It's eternal. It's full of knowledge. It's blissful. We can't even, it's not like apples to apples when we compare material energy to spiritual energy, just like a whole different realm. And we can reach that realm by fixing our mind and our heart on him through loving devotion. So when we deeply reflect on how everything material is temporary, we naturally feel inspired to fix our mind on what's eternal. That's God himself. And this remembrance becomes our pathway home. So that's where this section is taking us. We have some time for reflections. I think we started late too, so we may even have a little bit more time for reflections. Does anybody want to share a reflection or takeaway from this section? Aaron, I was going to call you out if you didn't raise your hand, so I'm glad you raised your hand. What do you have for us, Aaron?
Well, really just like a question of, with all of these inconceivable things, like, God's power, the spiritual world, even like a day of Brahma, like, I kind of struggle a bit with like just having faith in all of these things, and like, I'm just curious how you like start to develop faith in things that are so big and so inconceivable. And like, I don't know that I'm necessarily meant to wrap my mind around it, right? But like, how do you like hold all of that?
Yeah, This is a great question and such a real thing. Especially, I think like as Westerners, I have a lot of Indian friends who like grew up with this philosophy and it's like it's so normal to them. Like, yes, of course, Brahma's real. Right? And then as a Westerner, it's like you come in and it's like the whole conception, the whole structure of the universe is so different than anything that you've ever learned in a church or a school. And then it's like, yeah, just like you said, it's like how do you actually buy into all of these things? And I think the answer is we don't have to try to buy into too much too fast because that's not really going to be substantial. And we're going to take like 2 steps forward and 10 steps back with that. Right. And so I think what we do is the things that make sense to us, the things that we can kind of digest, we take, we take and we say, yeah, that makes sense. Or I'm going to try that on. I'm going to try on, chanting God's names and see how my consciousness feels after. Yeah, that makes, I can buy into that. And it's going to be different for everybody, different aspects of the philosophy that resonate, that are easier for you to develop faith in. And then just kind of go with them. And then as you're going with them, you have things that you're like, wow, I can't buy into those things at all. That makes no sense. That is way too out there. Don't like negate them, keep them in kind of like the maybe category. Like, yeah, that sounds really out there, but who knows, right? Who knows? And in that, as you move forward on your path, as you develop more and more faith in the things that do resonate more with you, it will become easier and easier to have more faith in the other things, the things that you just kind of put on the shelf for not right now, but maybe someday. Right? And it happens naturally. You see, as you move forward in your path, you'll hear something and you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, that's definitely Brahma's day, Brahma's night. That 100% makes sense. Like you'll show up as a different person as your consciousness is evolving. And you'll be able to, your digestion for this kind of information, you'll be able to take it much easier. And it's a process. And I'm not saying this from the perspective that like I'm 100% there, but I'm on enough that this has happened to me for several things, like things that when I first came in was like, that is ludicrous, or, oh, that's cute that they believe that or they think that. If we don't just completely close our mind off to it, if we just put it on the shelf, maybe later, but not now, we'll see as we go on our journey. There'll be a time that we'll be ready to take that down off the shelf and reevaluate it from a different lens, from as our consciousness is evolving, and maybe we'll feel differently about it. But we don't have to worry about it now. We just have to take steps forward with what does resonate with us, and then as we move forward, we see. Krishna will reveal. And if we're sincere and we're really wanting that, we're really wanting Krishna to reveal more of his reality to us, and we're really wanting to become more attached to spirit than material, it will happen for us. We'll see. To the degree that we're sincere, we'll be able to understand more things.
Mariah said something beautiful in the chat. You should read out loud.
Yes, beautiful question, Erin. I think a lot about this. I try to understand it by the mind and fit it into my material conception, and we just can't. We have to just open the heart to it and let it sink with time and repetition of hearing about these concepts. Yeah. Yeah, we have to understand that our mind itself is limiting. And just like
And
we
one more,
said, it's a totally different realm. So it's not like we can take our material mind and understand the spiritual realm, right? The spiritual realm is revealed to us. And we have to, like Mariah said, give that time and patience, right? As we're endeavoring and preparing our consciousness to be receptive to these kinds of things. Yeah, so nice.
one
Kay,
more
were you
thing.
saying something? Yes.
that, just because we were born in India, we were raised there. Yeah, we saw so many temples, and yes, we do know that there is Lord Shiva. We know there is Lord Krishna, but we didn't know anything about it because we didn't learn anything about Bhagavad Gita in the school, because there is also so much diversity. And so they don't teach religion in the school. And the parents are struggling to meeting ends. So we didn't get anything at home. So here I come in my early 20s in America, and I'm like, oh, wow, beautiful Western country, who believes in Krishna or who believes in God even, and just make money, enjoy, have a comfortable life, and be merry, be happy. But then, how things unfold in life slowly and gradually and all that. When things like that started happening, that's how the faith started, building. And we became little by little religious. So doesn't mean that we are from India, so we know everything, or yeah, we know a little bit, just that there is this, and God is powerful, but we don't know anything about the scriptures. We didn't learn anything. Slowly and gradually, we start learning. And then we run into
Thank
people
you.
like you, so that, and the group, and so we learn a little by little. So I was just trying to answer even Aaron's thing that, even we didn't have any faith or nothing, but it just gradually happens, and we see it later.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like any relationship that's just developing. Right? It's like you trust them, and you give a little bit of trust, and then you see that that pans out, and so then you give a little bit more, and then you see that that pans out, and then soon you're ready to say marry the person or whatever kind of relationship it is. But we have to kind of take it at a pace that we're comfortable, digest, assimilate, and then come back for more when we're ready, when we see that that's building. And just like Mariah said, yes, keep an open heart, understanding that this information, this spiritual knowledge is revealed to us. It's not something we can just grab and assimilate ourselves. It doesn't work like that. The mind isn't even designed to do that to that degree.
Rada,
Yeah.
this is Denny.
Hi, Denny.
I don't know. I can't raise my hand. I don't know how to do that on there, but
No problem.
it's been a while since I've been able to talk. But I've been following again. And I just like to say that Krishna is more powerful than we think.
Mm,
Because my situation ever since April, I've been in and out of spiritualism, but I came back wholehearted when I stayed at New Vrindavan for 2.5 weeks
mm,
and met so many more devotees and everything. But when I first started, I thought baby Krishna was actually eating honey out of a jar, not butter. That was always my thing. And then Kripa Maya said, "No, it's butter." I said, "That still looks like honey to me. I don't know. I'm not going to question it, but it looks like honey." But um, you know, the thing was, everything I was going through, I'd never let go of Krishna. I still kept reading, I still kept chanting. I just distanced myself from, online activities like this and everything, but I was still going to Parma, to our classes, but it was like, I was distancing myself so much that I didn't have anybody, you know,
mm,
and, but I would always find, my deities and everything talking to me, you know, and Krishna is just so powerful. It's just so deep that,
mm,
it's beyond what we believe it is,
mm,
but I just wanted to give that little thing there before I go clock into work. I had more
mm,
to say, but I got to go clock in. So,
mm.
but I'm glad to
Oh,
be back, and I'm glad I'm working 9 to 5 so I could be on these all the time, you know.
mm.
So,
We're happy you're
Danny said
back,
so many
Denny.
nice things before he leaves. Never
Oh,
let go
thank
of
you.
Krishna. Krishna is
Never,
more
never.
powerful than we think.
Yeah, that's what was deep is like I never let go. You know, I mean, I was
Mm.
going through suicide and everything, and I just never let go. Never.
Wow.
You know, when I was going through suicide, I said I'm gonna do this slow, and I want to feel death. You know, and for 6 days straight, I was trying to kill myself, and it just wasn't happening. You know, and on the sixth day, I actually woke up and Rhonda knows I've sent her pictures of my huge Prabhupada statue, and I looked up to him and he said, "See, I put you through that, but it's not your time." And
Wow.
that's when I grasped back on. You know, I never let go, but you know, it's deep. It's a long story,
Wow.
but I'm still here and I'm glad to be back. And I need you to send me that link again so I can hook it back up to my card because I can't find it.
Yeah, for sure. We're
Stay
happy
with
you're
us.
back.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna Denny. So great to hear from you.
So nice to hear from you, Danny. Mhm.
Thank you. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Wow, such nice shares. I just want to read one note from Mariah. She's at work. She says, I think it's so beautiful how these ancient cultures saw personalities behind everything. Every animal, tree, plant, mountain, river, body of water has a person behind it. They are living beings. So just starting with opening up to believe Mother Earth and brother tree, sister mountain can help open the heart to the personalities that are present in every part of life. Then when we hear about these bigger personalities like Brahma who are behind this creation of the whole universe, it can become a little easier to conceive also. Oh, so nice. Mariah, we love hearing from you. And sending lots of love to Denny on the board too. I see lots of love for Denny. Thank you, Denny. Thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing. Well, that is our time. Thank you all. Erin, how do you feel after about the answer to your question?
I mean, I feel good. I think, it's just like all of these things, they're so easy to think about very theoretically and
Mm-mm.
very like, abstractly, but, to really like, believe it and feel it and live it, I think is like a whole nother level. And I think I just, constantly go back to needing, to be patient and to let things
Mm.
unfold, like, like Stella mentioned, and you know, um, wanting to just like appreciate like right where I am and not, you know, just always just waiting to be more advanced or waiting, like wanting
Mm.
to be somewhere else already, I guess.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. I mean, the spiritual realm, it's a different realm. And to get access to that, we have to be patient and sincere and persistent. So, yes, that's what we're doing here. That's why we're all here together. And thank you all for being those sincere, patient, persistent seekers. Yes. We'll see you all on Monday. Very nice realizations. Thank you all.